Hello chickadees. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite things. It's a collage, but it looks like a little fancy painting. Like that. They're a lot of fun to make. I can make quite a few of these. They make good gifts and they're very cute. And I got to put my dog in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out. Now this is if you have some paint at home. I do have another version of this if you don't have paint at home that also works. So what I would do is get two primaries. So in this case I took the blue and the red, and we're going to start with those. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to dip my brush into the red, and I'm just going to do a third of this with the red. Roughly a third. I'm not measuring it. And I'm going to go back and forth and cover the top third with the red. Now, this is the trick. I'm not washing out my brush. Not here anyway. I'm going to put it into the blue, and I'm going to go over it and get purple in the top layer. And I'm just going back and forth. I'm not scrubbing, I'm just doing that, which I think looks really nice. Now I'm going to do the next third, which will be the blue. But again, I'm not washing out my brush. I'm just going to dip it into the paint and do the next section. And because I'm going back and forth rather than scrubbing up and down, it's going to give the appearance of a sky. And I'm going to just play with blending it. A lot of people like blending this a lot. I certainly do. And then I'm going to do the last third, which is the white. Now with the white, again, not washing out my brush, just taking my brush, dipping it straight into the white. Ooh, get a little more white on there. White was disappearing. And I'm going to put it in. Now, you're blending it, so you can bring that white up a little bit if you want. If you feel like it's getting too dark, just, wipe your brush off rather than rinse it off, because if you get it wet, it has a different effect. And then I'm going to do my last layer of just basically white. And again, I'm just going, like I was thinking of Mr. Miyagi when I do this. It was from the Karate Kid, saying which direction, like to wash cars, but this isn't, we're not washing cars, so we're polishing cars. We're painting, but I do think of that, like for this one, it's all about the direction. Although we're not really building strong muscles here. Maybe you are. Maybe you're making this really big and building strong muscles. Alright, so I have the base of this, and then I really want to let this dry. While I'm letting this dry, I'm cutting out my next picture. I did my dog again, not a surprise. And when you're cutting this out, you want to make sure you're cutting it, whatever picture you choose. This is just a black and white photocopy of a photograph from my phone. You're cutting out really carefully along the edges over here to make it look like it looks, it's going to look like it's painted on. So you just want to be really careful with that. Just really clean edges. And also make sure you're thinking about where you're going to put it. And I also think about, like, if sometimes these look really weird because of what's behind here. I actually tell you there's more dog over here, but I just cut that out because it looked really bizarre. So think about how it's going to look, like, kind of, this is the time when this is drying, is think about how you're going to position this, how you're going to cut it out, and what's right for you. So let's let that dry, and we will be back. Okay, so this is mostly dry. It's not totally dry, but I'm impatient and I want to show you the next step. So we're gonna go with it. So what you want to do is take your photograph that you carefully cut out, and remember, think about where you're gonna put it. Now, I'm gonna put it there, I think. Yeah, let's go with that. And so I'm going to take my brush. Now make sure your brush is really washed out. So if you use the same brush for the paint as you're going to use for your Mod Podge or glue for the next step, just remember to make sure you're not dragging stuff into it. Ooh, this one's pretty messy. That you don't want to drag into it. So really clean it out pretty well. And then you're going to take your Mod Podge or a little watered down glue, and you're going to just put it on the back, a little bit, on the back of your creature. Could be a person. I've never done a person on one of these. I think that would be fun. So that there, and you can see it's like way curly. And I decided I was going to put her there. So I'm going to put this Penelope right there. And I'm going to tap it down, make sure all the little pieces are down. Okay. Now, we're going to make it a little bit more, I think that looks so cool as it is, but we're going to make it all look the same. And we do that by putting a little bit of glue or a little bit of Mod Podge on top. And it also makes it shiny, and I like shiny, so we're going to put that on top. And I always warn people in advance that it may look a little bit milky when you put stuff on top of this, and you might get a little bit nervous that you're losing what you've worked so hard to get. But don't worry about the milkiness of the glue or the Mod Podge. Actually totally goes away and is replaced by shiny, shiny goodness. Now I can see mine still a little bit wet because I'm impatient, but what I would do is just make sure I'm well out of the way of the animal area before I hit it, because it's not really going to make a difference. I spread some paint with the glue or the Mod Podge in the long run. I will show you one final thing that my students actually showed me, which I thought was so cool, is how to make snow in here. So I'm going to finish that off. Go! If you notice, I'm using the same technique that I call it my Karate Kid painting technique, where I'm just thinking about just going one direction on this. And then I'll show you what my students showed me, which I thought was really cool. And you can do this after. You could do it during or before. It depends on how you do it. But they asked me how to do snow, and I was doing it with the tip of the brush, and a lot of them were looking really blobby. And then one of the kids in the class showed me that if you actually, let's switch out that, make sure I'm using paint. If you take the back of your brush, this part of your brush, near there, and you dip it into the paint, you can give yourself a little bit of snow falling, which is a lot of fun too. I try to have a variety of snow, so I don't have just big snow falling. I have some smaller ones too, so I'm balancing my brush here with different varieties of dots. And it's drying pretty quickly here. I think the heat is on, so it's drying pretty quickly. I can watch it dry. Watching paint dry. This kind of look like constellations too. I love it. Well, I hope you love it too. Ooh, I guess I washed out the bottom half of the brush. And that's it. I'll show you this a little bit more close up so you can see it. There we go. And they come out really neat. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoy making these. I can make quite a few. And I hope you make some and give some away. Good luck, and remember, just keep drawing.